on it where people think as soon as a woman hits 30, as soon as a woman hits 35, and surely if she's 40, she's like, you know, destined to live with a whole bunch of captains. And so a lot of y'all need to stop believing what other people say, believe in this whole narrative that you're old, your own fear about your age. You could actually be holding your own self back. What is up, guys? Sophia here, and I am back with another video. But before we get into the video, I want to remind you to check into the description box because I am starting a Patreon. It is very new and it's going to be all about leveling up. So for $5 a month, you're going to get all this exclusive content for all you ladies who want to level up, okay? If you are new to my channel, then go ahead and hit the subscribe button. So without further ado, let's get into the video, shall we? All right, ladies, I am so tired of hearing people say that they are too old. I think that this is utterly and absolutely stupid and ridiculous. I am 35 all day. I will tell people my age all day because I don't feel like you need to feel ashamed, punished for something that we naturally do. Don't let a man sit up here and tell you, oh, you're too old once you're past the age of 30 because men want to be with the youngest. Okay, I'm sorry, what? Women are not the only people that age. Everybody ages. It's not like women are getting over 30 and men stop. That is men telling you that because they are insecure men, or they are trying to make you feel insecure about your age. The only limitations that are placed on you at any age is the ones that come out of your mouth. Whenever you talk about being too old, then you are too old. And the reason why that is not because you are actually too old. It is because your word have the power to speak life and death into your situation. So if you are saying that you are too old to have kids, be married, no man will ever want you, then that is exactly what your life or your narrative will be, because that is what you have spoken into your life. I know that because specifically it says that in the Bible, when we speak about Elizabeth, when she got pregnant with John the Baptist, she was very old when she had him, but when an angel came to her husband, Zachariah, literally the angel was like, behold, Zachariah, you and your wife are gonna get pregnant. Zachariah said to the angel, how will I be certain of this? For I am an old man and my wife is advanced in age. Then he basically silenced Zachariah. Listen carefully. You will continuously be silent and unable to speak to the day when these things take place because you did not believe what I told you, but my words will be fulfilled at the proper time. And he literally came before Zachariah and said, you and your wife are going to have a baby. Then Zachariah said, no, I'm old. There is an angel telling you yes. Like, I don't know how clear that can be. And then the angel said, okay, because I don't want you to speak down to your own destiny, because you speaking can actually cause this not to happen, I have to silence you. So my point is, you need to stop saying or believing or casting whatever craziness it is that you believe about your age. Stop saying that, because you saying that is actually stopping it from happening. Now, there are 3 specific things that I feel that women get caught up in when it comes to this whole age thing. I'm too old to get married, I'm too old to have children, and I'm too old to fulfill my purpose. So let's go ahead and debunk all of that nonsense now. So first we're gonna talk about marriage. So when Ruth was a widow, she did not have any children at the time that her husband died. Historians agree that she was about 40 years old when she decided to go to Bethlehem. And when she was following Naomi literally was like, you know, Naomi was her mother-in-law. Naomi's sons had both died and her husband had both died. So here was 2 women. Both of them didn't have nobody. So Naomi was like, Ruth, go back home, because when you go to Bethlehem, you're probably not going to get married. You will be a stranger. You're not Jewish. And I'm not going to have any more kids in order for you to marry. So literally, this would probably be impossible for you to go to Bethlehem and get married to somebody. So Ruth was like, I'm going to follow you because I believe in God. First, remember what we said, belief. Then when Ruth got there, she was like, I'm going to work in the field and I believe I'm going to find favor with somebody. Second, she expected that something wonderful was going to happen. She didn't care how old she was. Third, she went into the fields, and lo and behold, she found Boaz, and he decided to marry Ruth. And guess what? Boaz was a little bit older than her, which brings me to my whole point on how dumb it is to believe that you are too old to get married, because there are plenty of men who are unmarried that are the same age as you or older. So not all of them want women who are like a whole bunch of years younger than them. They want somebody who is probably the same age or a little bit younger, because they want somebody who can match the same maturity level. I don't know what this whole narrative is. I'm too old, but the man isn't. Like, you know, we all age at the same rate. And then on top of it, even though Ruth was 40 something years old, she still had a child. So, and that is going to bring me to my next point, which is what we're going to talk about this whole narrative about you being too old to have kids. What is too old? Like, I know what science and statistics and all this other type of stuff says. Yes, I'm not going to dispute science in the sense that, you know, under certain ages, it does make it more difficult, but does it make it impossible? No, it doesn't, because there are plenty of people who have children at any age. I just talked about Ruth. She was 40 something years old. I also talked about Elizabeth, where she was well aged into her years, where Zachariah was trying to, you know, talk down her blessing by talking crazy. So those are two people. And the third person is also Sarah, the wife of Abraham. And literally in her situation, she didn't even have the natural ability, if you know what I mean, women, biologically speaking, the ovulation cycle and all that good stuff. She didn't even have that ability to have children when she got pregnant, which basically means that God can do anything for you if it is his will to do so. But you might really biologically feel like you cannot have children. If you remember when we were talking about Naomi and Ruth, Naomi lost everybody as well, her two sons, and she also lost her husband. And so the unexpected thing about when Ruth decided to stay with her, Ruth was not biologically related to her. Ruth decided to have a child, and then all of a sudden when she married Boaz, Naomi got a whole nother family again. She had a daughter, she got another son, and then she got a grandchild. And I want to point out the significance of that on how she felt, because it's actually scripturally based on how God actually chose to redeem her family in her old age. Because when Ruth came back to Bethlehem, like, she had renamed herself Mora, and it was like mourning, and God had it was just like this whole dramatic thing on how God had turned his back on her, and how she was like damned and all this other type of nonsense, and just really how we kind of do when we get older, and how we're never gonna have happiness again. And even if you biologically feel like you can't have that, you don't know what God's plan is for you, and you don't know how he plans to do it. So throughout this whole situation, Naomi got another adoptive family through Ruth. So if you go to Ruth 4:15, and I'm going to read through 17. Then the women said to Naomi, "Blessed is the Lord, who has not left you without a redeemer, a grandson as an heir today." And it said, "May he also be to you one who restores your life and sustains your old age, for your daughter-in-law who loves you and is better to you than 7 sons has given birth to him." And so literally what they were saying is like, okay, yeah, you had some sons. I mean, that's kind of disrespectful to say, oh, Ruth was better than your 7 sons, because she did have a son and she had a husband, and that didn't make her family less significant. But my point here is that, was these her biological daughter and was Boaz her biological son? No, but that was her family, and that is what she wanted. And yes, she was like, oh, I'm Mara and all this other nonsense once her family died. But ultimately, and she felt that she was too old, but ultimately God gave to her exactly what she wanted and how he could give it to her. So it's like, don't count yourself out, and don't count out how God can do something, because you don't know what he's going to do. The last and final point that I want to get into is the fact that a lot of women think that I'm too old to get into my purpose. Women really have it in their psyche about this age thing. Let me tell you this, if you were too old to find your purpose, to do X, Y, and Z, or to really go out and do whatever you feel called to do or to pursue a dream, then you would not be watching this video, because you would be dead. The only reason why God has you on this earth is because there is still things left for you to do. It is up to you on if you choose to pursue them or not, but trust and believe that he would not have you here if he did not feel that you could not achieve what it is that was in your heart. Age is not a factor when it comes to God. God is not a respecter of age. He just says, hey, can you do it? Yes. He don't look at how old you are. He don't care. So why do you care so much? It's like you tell yourself that because you care about what other people will think about what you're doing based on how old you are. So actually, I want to get into the story of Job. It is also a very short book that I also recommend that you read. So in the beginning of Job, basically a whole bunch of bad stuff happens, like a whole bunch of bad stuff. Job is a grown behind man all day. He has grown behind children. He has already accumulated all this wealth. And in like a matter of like a day or so, he loses his grown children. He loses all of his wealth. And then he gets astronomically sick to the point that there's like boils on his body. It's like absolutely terrible. This goes on and on and on and on. It's like, so like if you read it, it's like this horrific thing of this man just absolutely suffering. So at this point, you're like, okay, this sucks. And even his wife during this conversation with him is like, okay, you might as well just lay down and die. You don't have anything else to live for. Like, it just sucks, right? My point is like, you're still here. Like at that point, yes, Job could have listened to his wife and he could have laid down and died. And when he was speaking back to her, like, no, my God is, you know, the giver. And I mean, he was just bragging on God through all his boils and like bleeding to death. And it was just terrible. And so that's when God was like, yeah, Job, yeah, come on now. And then he came and he decided to bless Job even more. It says, and the Lord blessed the latter days of Job more than his beginning. So he had more wealth, he had more children, and he had more grandchildren. And so I guess my point is this whole thing in believing in God, because if Job would have listened to his wife and he just would have died, he would not have stepped into his blessing. So if you fall into the belief that you're old or listening to what other people say, then you're not even going to have the opportunity to go after what God has for you, and you're going to be stuck exactly where you are, and your latter days are not going to be blessed than your former days. And to me, not doing anything, like, what do you have to lose? Staying stuck will get you the same place that you already are. And if you're not happy or fully satisfied where you already are, who cares if people kind of give you the side eye when you do something if they feel like you're too old? And I kind of feel like a lot of the time when you're pursuing your purpose, a lot of that is in your mind anyway. Most people probably don't care. Age is nothing but a number. You know, I know that there is, and I've even seen it, I've even watched videos on it where people think as soon as a woman hits 30, as soon as a woman hits 35, and surely if she's 40, she's like, you know, destined to live with a whole bunch of cats and she's gonna be a bag lady. I think, you know, a lot of comments and a lot of men have even said that to me, but look at me, does it look like I care? I'm sorry, like, does it look, it's not gonna stop me from doing, being, or believing anything because I don't give them power. The only authority, like Jesus said to Pontius Pilate, the only person who has authority over me is God. And the reason why you are here is because God put you here, and God has authority over me. And the moment that God don't want you here, and the moment that God don't want you talking to me, then poof, you're gone. So understand, I'm not giving you any power because you don't deserve any of my energy. And so a lot of y'all need to stop believing what other people say, believe in this whole narrative that you're old, and you need to stop telling yourself that, because you could be the reason why you're not getting your marriage, your child, your purpose, or your own fear about your age. You could actually be holding your own self back. Right, guys? All right, that is about it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like I said, don't forget to look in the description box where I have a whole bunch of stuff like always, but most importantly, check out my Patreon. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Give me a big thumbs up, and I want to hear your comments on what your experience have been like about feeling old, and even telling people, I guess, your age. And so I will see you guys another day, another time. Bye, y'all.